Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Just 4 teams remain of Major 3. Any of them can win it going into the Championship Sunday. Who will actually do just that? The losers bracket is absolutely stacked, as you might well imagine. Our winners bracket is set as well. Plenty of very interesting and actually rather fast matches across the board to dive into today. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. So many storylines to get into and discuss. Firstly, brief mention of kind of the challenger side. I'll go into more detail on this tomorrow, what went down, like who is where, what the bracket is, because of course we've got plenty to discuss regardless. But Clayster and Co won a crazy game 5 round 11 right here. Like, it's awesome that Clayster's 30 to win. He's still, talking trash on effectively local lads. Obviously he's not a local LAN, it's an amateur LAN, not with some of the pro teams there, but still a lot of pro players or former pro players earlier in the season. This is a kind of good moment right here. Unfortunately, Center's team, they got knocked out 5th through 6th. They lost in the end to, I think it was Neptune and a MajorManiak team, and they went down to losers and lost to the Ultra Academy North America, because both Ultra Academies found themselves in the losers bracket. So unfortunate for Doug, but still a very respectable performance, I think, all things considered, here, getting top 5 through 6th this event. So Dougton's Martin's team didn't quite be able to complete the run that some were hoping they would make, but regardless, still a pretty respectable performance from a team that didn't really have much practice. Pretty sure Shawnee said after the fact that he believes that with a bit more practice they could easily get top 4 at the Boston Challenge event, which is going on, I believe, 1 week before the New York one that's going to go for Major 4 next time around. Let's dive into these matches then. Firstly, I want to say the crowd, man, the crowd was absolutely spectacular here in this venue. It's awesome to see. Look, I'm as skeptical of the franchise ecosystem as many are, especially coming from a European kind of sports background, right? But the fact that it actually enables fans from local teams, right, to actually support teams that aren't necessarily OpTic in the venue is absolutely fantastic. The walkouts they do for Ultra, the energy was absolutely electric in there. And I feel like when I did my predictions earlier today, like on a Minnesota versus Toronto, I didn't really factor in appropriately the level that the crowd would bring out of these Toronto guys, and it certainly seemed to in this series, because they played Minnesota and pretty much bodied them. This is a 3-0, and it must be said, right, the Minnesota front, how good they looked online. Transferring that to LAN, it did not really happen. This game one, again, seems like, there's some crazy close games here that Minnesota have going down to the wire here on Bacage. Another absolute, brain melter of a map right here, but Toronto just about get over the line of the game one. Game 2 goes their way as well. It was a 6-4 search and destroy, and then they close out the series as well. That's a top 6 for Toronto guarantees. They went further than that, we shall see here in a second, and Rokkr go out top 8, 5-0 in their group play, looking like one of the hot favourites to make a winners bracket run at the event. They go down straight to the losers bracket and drop out of the tournament entirely after just 1 series. Difficult to see from them if you're a Rokkr fan, of course, but Toronto did seemingly just hit new levels today, right? And it's kind of difficult to say exactly where Minnesota are, just because, they're not as good as they looked online, that is for sure. But Toronto did really turn up here, and with the crowd behind them, they were absolutely frying. But again, as Crone says, Dornant online could not translate that one to LAN. Finished 7th through 8th at Major 3. Of course, they picked up 50 points from the 5 matches they won online. They got only 10 points for this. So, they'd have made a deep run. They'd have been really looking pretty good for World Championship qualification. The reins of the advantage in that sense are now falling to teams that have kind of made more of a run. The likes of Toronto, the likes of, for example, Seattle Surge. We shall see here in just a second. The overall series stats are like this. Interesting, the SMG duo, Bance and CleanX, didn't really do all that much in this series, but Inside and Cammy turned up. Both of them have been playing phenomenal. Attached again, pretty much a classic story here over at the Minnesota Rokkr side. But Cammy hitting this type of form is a scary thing indeed, especially when CleanX is playing just as well as he did in the second series we shall see they played on the day. Let's dive into the second series of the day. That was Seattle versus Florida. Florida won the game 1 here, and I was thinking, okay, hang on a second here, lads. Are Florida going to make the run? Because I said earlier today that I thought they'd get top 6. I thought they'd do the classic thing where they beat OpTic and lose to everyone else they play, and just aren't good enough really to make a run, or just aren't consistent enough. And I feel like a lot of that comes down to the fact that they rely so heavily on individuals. They rely on Skies, on Awakening to take over games. Dave Paddy, you know what you're going to get from him. Vivid actually played great in their second series, but the rest of the guys fell short. And that's the thing, when Awakening doesn't go almost, I think he went 35 in 21, or a great map 1 in this series. Then they go up 4-2 in the search. What a snipe that was from Sib as well. But 4-2 up in this search and destroy to go up 2-0 in the series. They lose 4 straight rounds, lose this one 6-4, and then the momentum is solely with the Seattle Surge. But even then, right, in this control, it was 2-0, they were down. And honestly, the rounds that they won here were remarkable. They won this defense, right, as expected, to go to a 2-1 situation. They then won the next offense, but still Florida had defense in the round 5, right? And it's so rare to win 2 offenses in a row here on Tuscan, but Seattle did it in remarkable fashion. The pieces they were getting the kills. It was actually incredible to watch here. It's kind of rare lately that a Tuscan controller is a great watch. Often you do just see a load of defensive wins, but this time it really worked for them. Seattle make the comeback here, and from there you really felt like it was going no other way than they close out this series in a pretty close, I believe, Berlin hardpoint in the end. But yeah, Florida going down to losers. Seattle Surge advanced to top 3 in this tournament. What a run that they have had. Like, yeah, Battle of the Sea Men, let's just say, as Crow kind of clarifies here with the replies, goes the way of the Seattle Surge this time around. Sib, Pred, Mack, the guys you expect to turn up for this team if they want to win, did exactly that. They win this series pretty comfortably in the end. And yeah, 1-2 to Champ Sunday. They've made Champ Sunday of a major for the first time in franchise history. I guess they must have made like kind of Champ Sunday at some point, but not of what was called a major back in the day. So since majors have been a thing, they've yeah, this is the first Championship Sunday that they have ever made. And of course, they also made the finals of the Kickoff Classic, but does that really count? A lot of people would say probably not right at the start of the year. They made the finals there. They lost to Toronto. Both of those teams still in with a shout at this tournament. But yeah, Seattle next play FaZe. Of course, the thing is with FaZe is that you know, Seattle generally have a rather good history and record up against the Atlanta FaZe, at least the last couple of seasons and this season as well. So we shall see if they can cause FaZe some trouble, because yeah, FaZe were looking pretty remarkable. Dave Paddy with a classic series, 70 and 70 something, like lowest damage in the lobby by far. When they win and Skies and Awakening go off, then it looks like Dave Paddy's doing his job. But when they lose, it's like, what is this guy actually contributing? People have said it for weeks, and the story does not change when they play a team that isn't OpTic. And speaking of FaZe, then here we go. FaZe versus Los Angeles Thieves. This was, of course, well, the winners bracket match to determine who would get top 3 to face Seattle Surge in that winners bracket final. And well, it's Atlanta FaZe who get the job done in honestly dominant fashion right here. Of course, we saw the kind of drama earlier today about the aBeZy situation. Katie Bedford with the words she had to say on the situation. And of course, we kind of theorized, okay, would it throw off them for the rest of the weekends? Would that kind of yeah, affect their gameplay, or the other way around? Could it potentially just make them play to new levels? And that's pretty much what happened in this series. They just blew them off the face of the earth. Simp just was going off. I mean, aBeZy didn't really have to do much game 1, but the stats from aBeZy, or from Envoy actually, or the SMG duo on the Thieves side game 1, Envoy was like 11 in 22, or he had a pretty tough map 1. So did Kenny for a time. But you know, kind of that SMG duo over there, even though obviously you see a lot of ARs on this map regardless, was not firing where they needed it to be firing, especially when Simp was playing as well as he did this series. And then this game as well, like I mean, this was just ridiculous. Honestly, Thieves on this Picard Search and Destroy just got blown out of the water. Like, kind of funny in the way that we were talking just, well, not long ago at all, the fact that you know, earlier today really and last night, that okay, yeah, aBeZy, he doesn't really know what he's doing in Search and Destroy, doesn't put the time in, doesn't really listen to 2-Buck Thug Lords, and then of course comes out and this map goes 6-1. They just 6-0 Thieves out of nowhere. So you know, what does this say about Thieves? What does this say about FaZe? But you know, they seemingly are certainly starting to hit form at the present time. This was Photoshop. I thought was kind of funny here, right? You know, Texas already playing Thieves in the lower side, despite the fact that FaZe hadn't already completed this series yet. But it didn't take too long. 6-0 in the Surge. Like, Thieves honestly look completely checked out of it. And we go on to a control right here. Of course, we've already looked at this clip. That well, eventually they close out the series regardless in that fashion. I mean, it was a weird one, to be honest. They went up 2-0. There was then like a technical delay, a lag out. And honestly, looking at the cameras on the Thieves side, they just looked like this was chalked, right? They knew they were playing FaZe. They knew they were down 2-0. They knew there was zero chance in the world that they're ever going to manage to, you know, win the offenses that they would have required to actually win that series. They get 3-0s. Goddamn near perfect Call of Duty out of us, says Simp here. And winners finals now. Play Seattle tomorrow. Thanks for the support. And as Clay says, you know, thought you guys were undedicated. There were a few more comments on this one we'll probably dive into tomorrow, because things do get kind of spicy indeed. But yeah, we're talking about practice. Says Crone, as Simp has one of the best series he has had so far. 1.54 KD, dominates in every single mode across the board. And the stats are like this. Ugly for Thieves, no doubt. But you know, how many times have we seen this with Envoy with a 0.65, Kenny with a 0.78? They just have a tendency, I mean, Octane's here with a 0.71, but this team has a tendency to just get monstrously outslayed. And FaZe haven't been a team really outside of Cellium that's done a crazy amount of slaying so far this year. And even FaZe, I don't really say even FaZe, right, because they are FaZe, but like even the way FaZe have been playing the last few weeks or so, they still have a series like this in them. So it's difficult to say what this means for both teams, but it does mean Thieves and losers, and FaZe guaranteed top 3 once again at another major. Let's talk about the final series before the OpTic one, of course. Ultra versus Florida. This, of course, an elimination match. When I saw this, right, I mean, when I saw it on earlier today, that I thought, okay, Florida probably going to lose. Like, it was almost certain they were going to go top 6. I don't think this team is good enough to do any better than that, to be perfectly honest, especially playing a really hot Ultra with the crowd behind them as well. Game 1 was close for a time. Ultra always had a bit of a slender advantage. They closed out the game 1. Like, I mean, yeah, classic stuff here on the Bicage. It's a mess to look at, to be honest, but I'll just let you know that Ultra won this one, because it's a pain to look through these kind of situations. And just look at this actually in terms of stats. CleanX was the monster this map, 47 in 38. Just comparing it real quick to what Dave Paddy did on the map. Like, Dave Paddy has 19 kills, 35 deaths. So CleanX has not only almost triple the kills, not quite triple, but, you know, 2.5 times kills that Dave Paddy has, but he also has more deaths. So here's like, what, 85 engagements here. Dave Paddy has, what, 54 engagements. It's like, yeah, the disparity there, of course, different roles, but you get the picture, right, in terms of what CleanX is bringing to the map in terms of firepower and pressure than what Dave Paddy brings. And they very much rely, I think, on this map for the likes of Vivid, who also had a great map here, and Sky's Awakening to go off if they want to do anything. Doesn't happen when CleanX is playing quite like that. Game 2 as well was a pretty close forward affair early on. Vivid got a nice little ace, but out of nowhere, they really turned up. And Insight was just the monster of this map. He played so many smart situations here, Insight. Just went, I think he went 11 and 2 this map. The crowd was going wild. Just love to see the crowd. I think like even the tissues were coming out to support CleanX or whatever. Thought that was kind of funny. Just, the crowd was absolutely electric in the venue here. And they were getting hyped for the 3-0 that was to be after just one more map. This map as well, honestly, it should have gone to a round 5 here. But Cammy got a 3-piece out of nowhere. Like a vintage Cold War Cammy 3-piece that he was doing towards the end of last season. He's done it again today. That gives them a chance in a 4 versus 4 to close out here over towards this P point. They do exactly that, and 3-0 Florida Mutineers. I mean, Winsight was here on the main stage doing the interview after the fact. The crowd was absolutely loving it. Just great to see all across the board. TJ reckons home field advantage is pretty overpowered in Call of Duty. We shall see on that front for the rest of the weekend. But yeah, here are the stats for the series. Vivid has a decent one. Dave Paddy, 44 kills. Like, CleanX had more kills in map 1 than Dave Paddy had in the entire series. He has 83 kills over the course of it. Like, I mean, this guy was out of control in terms of the pressure he was putting up. But got to give credit to Inside and Cammy as well. They've been hitting final form lately, and are certainly a scary force for the rest of this tourney going into Championship Sunday. And all those other matches, of course, set up a finale between OpTic and the Los Angeles Thieves. An incredible matchup for so many reasons, right? Especially because of the whole tiebreaker shenanigans before the tourney even kicked off. That, okay, did Los Angeles Thieves want to try and avoid OpTic? Then they're having to play them anyway, right? And it starts off the series looking like exactly the same way we'd seen before. OpTic dominated the start of the first hardpoint. Dashy looked pretty much unstoppable. This game one was unbelievable, to be honest. From OpTic early on, they had a 100-point advantage. Thieves kind of clawed it back a little bit, but the rotations are heavy for OpTic. Gavutu hardpoint, of course, pretty much Thieves is home for the first part of the year. Now, OpTic take it away from them. They're looking so good at this point in the series. And the search and destroy continues in a rather similar fashion. Thieves got 1-0. Very quickly, though, it's a 1 versus 3, or well, 3v1 in favour of OpTic. They win this round. They then win the next 4 straight. I mean, this gunfight win from Scump on Envoy was, well, pretty much epitomised at that point the series that they were having at the present time. He was just, well, demolishing them and very quickly establishing a 4-1 advantage in this series. But all of a sudden, this is where the things start to go wrong. And as soon as I saw this, I thought, okay, hang on a second here, because this would be very vintage OpTic for something like this to happen, which is exactly what they let happen over these next few maps. And honestly, like, I've never really seen something like this before, except from, some OpTic teams in the past that seem to get into this kind of fashion. And in fairness to Thieves, they really did grab the hold of the momentum by the scruff of their necks, and the SMG duo Envoy Kenny turned up massively for the rest of the series. But this is the point, a 2 versus 2. Dashy and Shotzi have played this round perfectly. They've baited out the Thieves guys, they've gone over towards the B bomb site, they can get it down for free. Once they get the bomb down, they've probably got a good, 60, 70, 80% chance even of winning this round, just because Dashy's positioning is so good. He falls backwards off the map, he gets a little bit too, too antsy with it, I don't know, kind of, misjudges where the offer the map is, right? He falls off there, he kind of puts his head up to his hands thinking, okay, damn, hang on a second here, what have I done? Because all of a sudden, Shotzi gets caught, and then we go to a round 11, where Prelude in this situation, like, look at this 4v4, strange, really, decision from OpTic, because, like, I don't know if Thieves kind of blind countered this one, but there was 3 players effectively over towards the A site, and only 1 man in Envoy defending B, and still, the OpTic guys decided to go A anyway. Prelude's kind of overcharged this gunfight, yes, kind of Drazah's on 20 HP, but probably not a gunfight you have to take if you're Prelude. He dies in this situation, leaves him in a 3v4, they lose this round, and all of a sudden, like, I'm sure Dashy's thinking, and the OpTic guys are thinking, okay, hang on a second here, lads, we're up 4-1 there, 2v2 with a massive advantage, I fell off the map, and now it's gone 1-1, and Thieves have the momentum, like, what's going to happen from here? And that's the thing, really, I think they've got in their heads a little bit here, and Dashy individually played far below his levels he did in game 1, and the start of game 2 for the rest of the series. The stat we'll see here in a second is incredible, and Envoy, despite such a bad day up till this point, now just started to absolutely feast. He went on a 7 streak to start out this one, they won this control comfortably, and it was Kenny and Envoy really taking over this series, right? It's crazy really what momentum can do in a Call of Duty match, because OpTic were looking so good that one mistake cost them, and now Thieves really capitalized, and they felt the momentum, they felt that OpTic were kind of collapsing underneath them, and it was Kenny, I think, especially the end of the series, that really went to new levels, and proved, honestly, despite all the people saying they should drop him, that it, proved his worth still on the team, no doubt. And it felt like really going into this Berlin hardpoint, like, surely OpTic are not going to be able to win this one, because they were getting outslayed drastically here. They are up at this point 150 to 133, but look at this stat here that's yelled up on screen. Before he fell off the map, Dashy had a 1.58. After he fell off the map, a 0.73. That was, of course, only at this point in the series. He went on to have a pretty rough map 4 as well, where Los Angeles Thieves take it down and advance to Championship Sunday, knocking OpTic Texas out top 6 for the second major in a row. Definitely when the pressure was on this series, like, when push came to shove, it was Thieves that really came up with it good. And honestly, that game 2 moment is going to haunt these guys, because yes, they would have played Toronto tomorrow had they won the series. That's never been a great one for OpTic traditionally, especially in Toronto's home venue, but still, this is a series they pretty much had to win given the advantages they had, but it's Thieves who get to effectively keep their roster going forward. If they'd have got 3-0 here, they probably would have had to blow it up. Octane's not shying away from throwing some Dashy straight. He drops kind of this graphic right here that, of course, well, this GIF that often Dashy likes to use from his perspective. It's like, I mean, yeah, Octane probably making a statement here about the way that series went, and these were the overall stats. This, I'm sure, after game 1, looked very different indeed, but by the end of the series, it's Kenny with a 1.4, Octane with a 1.3, and everyone on OpTic was negative at the end of the series. Remarkable situation. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new as always. Take care of yourselves, and I shall see you next time.